it's just amazing what happens when we believe. And sometimes when we don't have the belief in ourselves, like right now, you may not have the belief in yourself that you can do this or that you can ever handle money or that you're good with numbers. Well, my belief in you that you can do it oftentimes is enough to carry us to get to the point where we're like, well, maybe. And then we can get to where we are. Hi, my name is Annette Bau, your host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. I'm a certified financial planner and founder of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I have been advising and researching the top 1% of millionaires, and I am passionately obsessed with money, mindset, and the intersection of self-worth and net worth, and how the two connect and allow us to live fulfilled and wealthy lives on our terms. I'm a Midwestern girl who had a dream, began investing $25 a month 35 years ago, and today have a multi-million-dollar net worth. I teach the tried and true that only someone with over 3 decades of experience advising millionaires would know. This podcast is different, about much more than money. We talk about mindset, success, money blocks, worth barometer, and all aspects of money and topics from practical manifestation, along with real-world how-to and everything in between, with the goal of making your journey easier and more fun. Think of this as coffee, actually matcha tea, learning real-world common sense money and life advice from a BFF that you can start applying today. If you want to create a financially free life you love, you are in the right place, my friend. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. So today's free guide is our money mindset mastery. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. I share with you 35 years of insight on how to master your money and mindset, and you're going to love the insight you get in this free resource. You're going to learn what fulfilled and wealthy people do differently to create a secure financial future. If you want over 3 decades of research and insight on money scripts and mindset mastery, you've got to download this guide. So again, themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. For today's show notes and resources, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/40. Materials and intellectual property are copyrighted by themillionaireseries.com. This information is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide you any investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. So let's dive into money beliefs that determine your future. The first thing you got to do is you got to understand your beliefs. In helping you understand your beliefs, we're going to dive into a few different areas. One are some of the most common beliefs, how beliefs can impact our financial success or lack thereof, the power of talking about money, as well as money scripts and 7 steps to change yours. So let's look at the power of beliefs. What is a belief? It's a conviction that something is true, even without proof or evidence. Beliefs can be formed through experiences, different influences, upbringing, education, a variety of ways. They shape our attitudes and behaviors and influence how we interpret the world and how we make decisions, especially financial decisions. That's why healthy money beliefs are so critical to securing a bright financial future and retirement you love. So I want to give you a little bit of background about beliefs because I have seen so many examples of how crazy beliefs are and how far-fetched they are, and yet the impact they have. And I want to use an example of my son, who at the time was about 10 years old. He was a wide receiver and he was playing flag football. We were losing most of our games. And I remember he came to me and said, "Mom, the problem is I need gloves." And I just remember thinking, okay. And so I did what any good wife does. I sent my husband and him to the sporting goods store and I had him go buy gloves. They returned home with these bright red gloves. Now, I was already embarrassed. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to be made fun of. He's going to be teased. And he was so excited about him. And I was thinking like, I thought they were going to get like black or gray ones, or I would have gone. We get to the game and I'm sitting down and the dad sitting next to me starts laughing. And I knew right away, I could just feel myself perspiring. I was like so mad. He's like, "Oh, well, it looks like we got some new gloves. Oh, I bet those are going to make a big difference." And it was like, he was such a smart aleck. And I just sat down and I was like, oh my gosh. Just to add misery to the event, we were playing the best team in the league. And they had these 2 brothers who were like lightning fast. Their father had played professional sports, maybe even been in the Olympics, unbelievable athletes. And there was like no chance we were going to win. Now we started playing, and my son is playing really well, but we were still down the entire game, 12-18. And there were like 2 minutes left. And I kid you not, they threw a pass and my son intercepted it. And he ran the entire field to score. And then we made the final point. So we ended up winning 19-18. And it was really funny because the smart Alex sitting next to me was no longer laughing. He's like, "Where did you get those gloves?" And this time I was laughing. So I have to finish this story. I wasn't going to share it, but it's just so applicable to beliefs. One of our friends growing up, they were actually our next door neighbors, and they became friends of ours. Their son played football, and we played the team that my son would play flag football on. The father coached. I can remember the mother constantly saying her son Parker was going to play professional football. And I can remember some of the other moms laughing and going, "Oh, there's no way." And I can remember thinking, hey, he could do it. He's a great athlete. Well, make a long story short, we are playing one game. Parker was the quarterback and my son was free safety. I'm not really an expert at football, but all I know is Parker threw the ball and it literally went probably 3/4 of the field. My son jumps up, catches it, and scores. Now, we were playing a team that was like the best in the league, and they were so unbelievable. And of course, we got beat. The end of the game, their coach comes over and he's like, "I want to talk to number 99, which was my son." He takes the football, he signs it, and he gives it to my son. And he said, "You're an unbelievable free safety, and I would love to have you play on my tackle team." Well, unfortunately, my kid's career as far as football didn't happen because I wouldn't let him play tackle. I let him play flag, but not tackle. And I remember getting in the car and I'm like, "Well, Nick, how successful can this guy be if he's coaching kids' sports?" Well, it turns out to be Patrick Peterson. The point of all of this is, number one, my son had a belief that if he had gloves, thank goodness he got rid of the red ones and got some gray ones. He had a belief that if he had gloves, he would be a phenomenal player. Parker had a belief because his mom had such a belief and his dad had played. If you saw the Myrtle Bowl happening in 2023, December 16th to be exact, you saw him play as a quarterback for Ohio against, I think, Georgia Southern. He was playing at Florida, didn't really get any playing time, so he transferred to Ohio. And they were kind of like, oh, complete unknown. Both of the other two quarterbacks were injured. Well, he just came out, scored. First of all, he's a phenomenal athlete, and he was like running. I mean, like he can run, and he's just a talented athlete. He's always has been. Make a long story short, he had like one play that was, good score, and then the next one where he was going to get tackled, he jumps up and throws it. And the receiver catches it with one hand and makes a score. And it was just like nonstop. As I'm sitting here recording this, it's such real time, is his mom's belief was so prevalent. And I think his father's too, but his mom continually said he is going to play professional. Now, that'll be seen. But from watching him today, it was just unbelievable. It's just amazing what happens when we believe. And sometimes when we don't have the belief in ourselves, like right now, you may not have the belief in yourself that you can do this or that you can ever handle money or that you're good with numbers. Well, my belief in you that you can do it oftentimes is enough to carry us to get to the point where we're like, well, maybe. And then we can get to where we are. So I hope that helps you. And I hope you enjoy this real time insight because it's just so exciting. And it's just so awesome to see Parker Navarro really coming into his own and just setting such a great example of a belief that you can do it. So let's dive in. So let's look at some money beliefs. Now, the importance of money is huge. And a lot of people don't understand that. But if you think about it, it's the medium of exchange that we use to purchase things, shelter, food, utilities. So it's really important. And it's also required on your wealth creation journey, meaning if you don't have enough of it, you're not going to ever become financially free. So, really, unless you live in a third world country or you enjoy struggling or worrying about money or living broke in retirement, money is critical. And whether you have a lot of money or not, your relationship with money is going to dictate so much about your life. So, we've got to make it a priority. Now, let's look at some common beliefs surrounding money that sometimes they help us, sometimes they don't. But I want you to just, as we go through this, identify what are some of your beliefs around money. And I want to start by looking at and examining some limiting beliefs. Money doesn't matter. It's so interesting when people say that. Well, how do you pay your bills when your bank accounts don't have enough money in them? I mean, it's hard. It's a problem, right? Money matters. Doesn't mean you have to have your entire focus on money, but you got to understand it does matter. And if you don't believe me, just try living without it for a while. People say, well, it won't bring me happiness. Well, clearly money won't bring you happiness, but neither will poverty. Money is a means to an end. It's a byproduct. It allows you to live the life you want to live. Money or the lack thereof is not going to bring you happiness. And so you just got to be aware of that. Or people say, well, money is the root of all evil. It's actually the love of money. And it's really when you're just putting money ahead of everything else, how you treat people, what you do, don't do. And then the other thing we have to be aware of is how money impacts our financial success and our results. Because if we don't have enough money or a belief that money's okay, a lot of times what you'll see happens with people like that is that they sabotage their own success and they end up having a very unfortunate retirement. It's not ideal. So let's talk for 1 minute about the power of talking about money and money talk therapy. Now, when I decided to do this episode, it was because I was listening to a podcast with a very popular podcaster, and she was saying that whenever she talks about money, she gets these scathing emails telling her not to talk about money. It's inappropriate. And this woman makes a lot of money. And I thought that was so interesting, but I thought it's so fascinating how so many people have this whole belief about money. I want you to think about this for 1 minute. Why is it okay that a person can have no money, meaning wealth, but they own a big house, a big car, and they're rewarded by society, meaning people say, oh, they're wealthy or oh, they're rich. Now, most people have no idea the difference. I'll link to rich versus wealthy in the show notes. But what's so funny is it's like it's rewarded because you look like you have money. But if, let's say, for instance, you're a multimillionaire, meaning you have multi-millions in the bank, you may not look wealthy, you may not have the biggest house or the nicest car, but if you were to say, I'm wealthy, it's considered bragging and our society frowns upon it. So if you show up and look like you have money, but you don't, it's okay. But if you come and say, I am wealthy, it's a problem. I just want you to think about that. The goal is that you have money, not that you look like you have money, unless you have this like desire to not have any money in retirement, because that's really the formula to being able to be financially free and to live a fulfilled life. So the other thing you want to do is you want to learn how to talk about money. And that is such a critical step because when you have open conversations about money with family members that are supportive or communities or even certain people you might work with, and you're able to discuss it without it feeling like a brag, that's so important. And I also encourage you to create friendships and even peer alliances where you can discuss financial matters. Again, I know it's not the norm, but it is so important and it's so powerful. Money scripts in your subconscious mind. A money script refers to a set of beliefs or attitudes that you have about money. They're often formed early in life and they can be influenced by a lot of things: education, peers, parents, teachers. They impact the decisions you make, meaning your financial behaviors and ultimately money decisions you make, good or bad. There was a study that was done by a financial psychologist named Brad Clones, and it was in 2011, and he identified different money beliefs and patterns. One of the interesting points of it was the fact of how a lot of our money scripts and money beliefs are not even conscious. He found from the study 4 different distinct patterns that he referred to as money scripts. It's really interesting to look at the psychology and our own experiences and see where we fall and what our own money beliefs and scripts are. Some examples of money scripts include money avoidance. People who have this believe that money is bad and that they don't deserve to have it. So they have a big problem if anyone brings up money, right? Because they feel guilty if they have money, and then they don't want to deal with even addressing any other money issues. They avoid dealing with financial matters oftentimes in their life, and they have a very hard time making financial decisions. So they do what they can to kind of just avoid it, ignore it. Then we've got on the other end of the spectrum, money worshipers. Their belief is that money will solve all problems. Now, I will say this much: a lot of problems money will solve. That said, they also believe that money is going to bring them happiness. And as I shared, money is not going to bring you happiness, and neither will poverty. Money's not meant to. But people who are using this script prioritize wealth accumulation at the expense of everything else, meaning their health, their relationships. Those are the people who are on their fourth heart attack, their fifth wife. It's just not ideal. And they're not fun to be around because everything's about money. And then money status. These people equate their self-worth with their net worth. They believe their financial success determines their value as a person. So if they've got money, they're worthy. If they don't, they're not. Most of these people are rich, high income, high debt, and they either fall into the money worship or the money status. It's so important to look like you have money. They don't, but they want to look like it. And you see this a lot in different country clubs. You see it in different communities, and it just can be such a vicious cycle. So you just got to be aware of it and careful that you don't fall into it. And then money vigilance. This involves a heightened sense of anxiety or secrecy around money matters. So these people do not want to hear anything about money. And they're the ones that'll say, oh, you're bragging if you talk about money, because they are super cautious about spending money. Oftentimes they are excessive in saving, and they're very reluctant in discussing anything. So, the reality of it is the importance of these different money scripts is to understand which ones impact us, learning how we can use that to help develop a healthier relationship with money, where we're not bragging about it, but we can have a conversation about it. Financial therapists and psychologists and even money coaches can work with people to help identify and replace scripts so that they're better set up to have a better relationship with money, more overall fulfillment, and a different type of outlook on life versus thinking the only reason I'm valuable is because I have money. I mean, how tragic is that? The other thing that experts can do is help you identify common money scripts and the impact they're having on your life and how you can use new ones to make better choices that align with your goal so that you achieve your goal. Because most people don't want to be feeling like they're worthless unless they have money. I mean, that's just miserable. Now we're going to look at 7 steps to replace money beliefs and scripts and to create a healthier money mindset. The first thing you want to do is inventory your money scripts. Now, don't judge, just take notes. You want to look at what they are because that's the first step to being able to replace them. The next thing you want to do is you want to identify your mindset around money, both positive and negative. And you want to rewrite negative beliefs into positive affirmations. Now, this may take you a little bit of time as you go through. You start identifying that you're judging people if they have money, or you're making comments. For example, people with money are dishonest or unethical. Instead, why not affirm people with money are kind and generous? I'm around a lot of wealthy people. They are the kindest people and the most generous people I know. And if they weren't, I wouldn't be around them. So it's not true that people that have money are not kind and generous. And if those are the people you've met, you just need to meet some different ones. But from a belief that money's bad to I love money. I love wealth. I love what wealth can do. I use money to do good. I support, and then fill in your favorite charity and maybe even how much money you support them with. The funny thing about it is people say money doesn't matter. And then it's like they want to help their favorite cause and they can't. I was on Facebook. Somebody asked a question, do you need money to be happy? And I said, no, absolutely. I don't think you do, but you do need money if you want to live a fulfilled life and you want to do the things you want to do. And it was so interesting because this woman responds and says, "You do not need money," and went on and on. And I was so interested because, of course, this is my research. So I went through and there were like 500 comments. She literally went to anyone that said money was important. And yes, you need money to live fulfilled. Or some people said happy, which I don't agree, but that you need money. So then I took it to another step. I went and looked at her Facebook, and I kid you not, 2 months earlier, her dog of umpteen years needed a surgery that cost $4,000. And she said, "Oh, it's so devastating. I have to put him down because I can't afford the surgery." But she could not connect the fact that that's what money allows you to do. If she had money, she could afford the $4,000 to save her dog's life. That's just a perfect example. So, again, this is not for you to beat up on yourself. This is just for you to become aware and say, where do I fall into this? Where can I improve? How can I get a better relationship with money so that I am happy when other people have success? And I know that that brings more success to me. Number 3 is to get financial education. Learn everything you can about finances, investments, and money management. This is going to empower you to make better informed decisions. And it also will help you to develop that prefrontal cortex and to allow it to come into play when you're making money decisions. So it's more logical, rational, as compared to our child limbic brain. I want it now, and I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get it. Number 4, you want to determine what a fulfilled life looks like for you. First and foremost, you've got to find out what you want, and then you can work with your partner. But once you know your end goal, then creating goals so that you can achieve them is much easier, as well as identifying those high value activities. Those are the consistent actions you've got to do so you can achieve your goal. The next thing you want to do is create a supportive network. You want to connect with people who have a healthy attitude towards money and success. You can tell as you start paying attention, you start listening to people, you're like, oh, yeah, this is somebody I want in my life. Number 6, practice gratitude, mindfulness, and consider meditation. When we cultivate a sense of gratitude for what we have, it's amazing, but we get more of it. And by focusing on what you're thankful for, you start shifting from a scarcity mindset where there's not enough to an abundance mindset. In episode 38, I dive deep into this. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/38. I'll link to it in the show notes. It's so important because when you have a scarcity mindset, it's a belief that I've got to cheat, steal, do whatever I can to get my share. And then you're always worried, anxious, fearful that there won't be enough. It's just a miserable existence. And being around people like that is not fun. As you practice gratitude, give thanks and appreciation for what you have already done and what you're achieving, regardless of the size. So it could be something minor, but be grateful for it. And then I encourage you to consider practicing mindfulness. This allows you to become more aware of your thoughts and feelings in your life, as well as how they relate to money. I want you to work to embody your beliefs and experiences, both good and bad, so you can experience them without taking a negative action like overspending, overeating, whatever you overindulge in. Because overeating and overspending, or really too much sex or anything along those lines, is really because you're not dealing with your emotions in a healthy way. And the more you can sit in that uncomfortable space when you want to eat, not because you're really hungry, but because you're bored, which is what I used to do, or you want to go spend money because you had a fight with your partner, or because you're feeling down and out, or because your new friend just got this to die for purse, whatever the scenario may be. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable so that you can stay above the grid and you can make conscious choices that are going to serve you in the long term, relating to your life and your finances. And then meditation can be really helpful because it allows you to create a mental space where you can observe your thoughts and then create positive beliefs that will align with your goals. It's amazing what happens when you start practicing, whether it's meditation, chants, yoga, all of those things. So powerful and such a great way to calm down your mind. You also want to get professional support. A qualified therapist or money coach can do wonders to help you replace money scripts that are keeping you broke. But I do want to remind you that they are not qualified to help you manage your money. Very few money coaches are also registered qualified financial advisors. So be very aware of that. One thing that also will help you is to elevate your worth barometer. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/3 to access insight on that. But that's basically your belief in self-esteem. A qualified financial advisor can also help when it comes to the management of your money and investments, but rarely are they qualified on the psychological side where a therapist or money coach is. So just for your information. All right, so let's recap money beliefs that determine your future. The ultimate goal is to create a healthier and more empowering relationship with money so that you can enjoy your money and your life. I encourage you to review the common beliefs and money scripts that we went over and figure out which ones apply to you, which ones are serving you, and which ones do you need to replace. Once you've identified your money beliefs, you can see how they're impacting your financial decisions and even your net worth, how you spend money, how you save money, what you do, what you don't do. I also encourage you to follow the 7 steps so that you can identify and replace your current money scripts that are not aligned with your goals and create new ones that support you in living fulfilled and wealthy. And then look at alliances that you can create with others who also want to secure a retirement and bright financial future. It's so much easier to do this journey of money and life if you've got like-minded people alongside you. And then work on increasing your comfort, talking about money and supporting others on their financial journey. And I want to just give you one example. So I was just out with one of my best friends for happy hour, and she's very wealthy. She makes me look poor. But it was so funny because I said, yeah, my son went to the World Series. And she goes, you're kidding me. You bought him a ticket? And I go, I did. And I said, what was funny is the price was going to be $450. And I still thought that was a lot of money, but I'm like, okay, he's been so into baseball his entire life. He's going to go with a group of fraternity brothers. Well, it's $450. And then by the time you get done with fees, it was like just under $700. It's like $1,000 one night event. Cause by the time you buy food, you do everything. And she looked at me and she said, I would never spend that. And I said, I wouldn't either. And she goes, that's why we have money. Now, it's just funny, but the reality of it is those of us who have money make different choices. Now, some of you might say, well, I can't believe you do that for your son. Well, it's a large part his Christmas gift. And then the difference between what we normally spend on Christmas, he has to work off. So it's not like I just gave it to him. So he does have to do something for it. I just want you to get how we think and being around people like that, where you're aware of what you're spending, you're aware of money, and they're supportive of that is so important and it's so helpful on your journey. So I really encourage you to look to create friendships like that. I mean, when I met her 17 years ago, I had no idea. We're both from South Dakota, but I had no idea that she was really as aware and concerned about money and had so many similar views as I do. And so it's just awesome. So there you have it. I really encourage you to go back and re-listen and review, and more importantly, apply the concepts we dove into today. You're going to be so glad you did. If you love the content of this podcast, please follow and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of episodes, and also give us a 5-star review and share a comment. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for Next Step Finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. So thank you so much for joining me for Money Beliefs That Determine Your Future. I'm Annette Bau, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.